In this video, we're going to take a look at describing the long-term trend in particular when we're looking at a time series graph. Before we carry on, just one important thing to make sure you remember though is that when we're describing graphs, we must always first of all give a visual description of what we can see on the graph and then back it up with values and calculations that we can take from the data that we've got there. The most important thing is to say what you see first and then back it up with evidence and numbers. Now the graph that we're going to go on and look at is to do with road accident fatalities in New Zealand over a period of 2005 to 2010. Now you just need to know a definition of what we're looking at first, and when you're given time series data you will get some information about the data that's being presented to you. So this is what you need to know about. Now this is taken from the Ministry of Transport in New Zealand, and they've defined a high-risk driver as being somebody who falls under the following categories. They're unlicensed or disqualified, or they've evaded enforcement, racing, showing off at the time of the crash, if they've got a blood alcohol level above the legal limit, those who repeatedly offend with alcohol-related crashes, and repeated other types of offences like speed offending and particularly drivers in speed-related crashes who've had 2 prior speeding offences in the previous 5 years. Okay, so that's just a little snippet of information so you know what we're looking at on the next graph. So here's the graph itself. So this is the percentage of all fatalities that were caused by at-fault high-risk drivers. So you can see in 2005 we've got just under 30% of all of the fatalities. So fatalities means deaths that were caused by road accidents. So of all the deaths that happened on the road from road crashes, just under 30% of them were caused by what were categorized as high-risk drivers. At fault means they were the cause of the crash, and high risk means they come under those categories we just looked at on the previous slide. So that's what we're looking at, the percentage of all of the crashes that caused fatalities. Of those fatalities, how many of them were caused by the high-risk type of drivers? So now we're going to have a look at describing this. Now you need to have a look at the picture and describe it overall and back it up with numbers. So our blue line is the long-term trend. We haven't got any seasonal data on here on this particular graph. I've picked out one that's just showing us the long-term trend. So that's all we're interested in right now. So from 2005 to 2010, we can say that there is an overall increase in the long-term trend for the percentage of fatalities caused by at-fault high-risk drivers. Now remember, when you're describing this, to put all of the detail in, be specific about what it is you're talking about. So this has gone from approximately 29.9% up to 33.9% over that time. Then we can work out what that is on average. So this is an increase of 4% overall, which is an average increase of 0.8% per year. And we can put the calculation in of how we worked that out. So the difference from 33.9 to 29.9 is 4. We divide that by the 5 years that we're looking at this over since 2005. And then that gives us 0.8 per year. We can also express this as a percentage change. Now this can get a little confusing since we're already talking about something that's in percentages, but we can talk about the percentage change from that beginning value. So the difference of 4 as a percentage of what it started at 29.9 comes out to 11.8%. So that's an 11.8% increase as a percentage change. That's probably more useful to do on graphs that aren't already expressed in percentages. If we've got absolute terms, like the number of something, then you would definitely want to talk about that as the percentage change. So let's see what other details we can put into this, because obviously that previous slide doesn't give us all of the picture. it didn't just go in a nice straight line from the left to the right. It's got a few different bits in there. So although there is an overall increase, it varies from 2005 to 2010. So first of all, we can see a very small decrease in the percentage of fatalities caused by at-fault high-risk drivers from 2005 to 2006. Got that slight little drop in the graph. Then it increases relatively sharply from 2006 to 2008. That's where we can actually see the biggest portion of that increase over time, before remaining quite steady from 2008 to 2010 without much change in the last 2 years on our graph. Then you'd want to back up what you see here by going away and doing a bit of research. So why have you seen that there's an overall increase there? Did something happen in New Zealand that might have caused some changes in the trends of fatalities, particularly the percentage made up from high-risk drivers? Is there a reason why we saw that biggest increase from 2006 to 2008, and so on? You want to go away, research it, back up what you've said about the graph with what might have been possible causes or contributors to those factors that we've seen.